Hey, we're here for the finance committee meeting. We have Tony, myself, Aaron, Karen, and Bob in attendance, as well as Mike and Barbara. Any changes to the agenda that need to be made? All right. So let's kind of charge forward, because there's a lot to talk about here. Current bills payable, there's nothing unusual in the current bills payable. We do have our lobbyist payment, that's our now Berlin versus even Peabody, but we get 50% reimbursement for that. We also have our annual property casualty and full insurance premiums that were. Any questions on current tables? We'll ask for approval of those at the board. Second quarter financial reports look pretty good. We were able to get we have a couple things that look overspent, but that's only because they're paid all in advance at one particular time.
So we're talking about these like we're talking about the QuickBooks reports.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if I've just never noticed this before, but this whole like January to June presentation threw me. I was sitting there trying to figure out when they said budget, I was like, is that whole year's budget or is that half the year's budget? I was like, I wouldn't get that. I thought it was very strange to me. They're showing half a year's budget.
So we're doing that. We do all this now.
Oh, okay.
But we mirror, so we do this. And Leighton and Long does it in the background.
Yeah.
And not Leighton and Long. Did I say that wrong?
Oh, yeah.
But Leighton and Long does it in the background to make sure that everything mirrors, so we get their quarterly letter saying they've reviewed it.
Okay.
So that's the way they've been doing it. I'm sure we can make this. I really do a deep dive in budget reconciliation of my spreadsheets and stuff, but then
Yeah,
I
not
supply all the
done
information to the accounting departments to make sure I'm doing everything correctly.
I also have that like reflex of why are we supposed to budget when we're only halfway through?
Right.
And I'm like, oh, this is half. But then I always look at Mike's spreadsheet.
Right.
But we can certainly ask, because I'm sure that QuickBooks has that ability to do it, percent of budget, like full year budget.
I mean, I'm just used to seeing it like as of June 30th, and then you've got the annual budget, and then you've got expenses and revenues as of June 30th. And that just makes sense, the whole showing a half year's budget. But like I said, that's fine, sorry. Notice that, and it's a little strange. And then I had a question about the legislative advocacy line. I didn't understand why we're showing $10,000 worth of expense in June versus the 5 that we have on the.
Because we send an invoice out and we just got it, so you'll see the invoice that we send out. We send an invoice out and record in revenue, so we pay the whole bill and then send them an invoice for $5,000 for recorded revenue.
Oh, bills payable say 5,000 and 2,500.
So
Oh.
we paid one payment previously.
Yeah,
A previous quarter.
I thought it was
I guess
5,000
I
a
don't
quarter.
understand the question.
I thought it was $5,000 a quarter for 20,000 a year.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right. So we're showing $10,000 expense in June. In addition to the 5,000 that was spent in March. And your
for a
spreadsheet,
total of 15,000.
and it didn't say new QuickBooks. It didn't. didn't match up with what the bills payable said.
I don't know, Karen, I have to look into that.
Oh, Barbara says she can answer the question.
Oh, great.
The new, lobbyist invoice that we got was dated 6/25 for July, August and September. So it's in the June payables to be paid. So that's why I got put on that line, but I can always move it to July.
So we've paid for 3 quarters now.
Yeah, that check was for July, August and September.
So instead of paying in arrears, we're paying. And March, and June, we're paid in arrears. Because we've changed from.
So it's okay that the June payables don't reflect two payments, it just reflects one payment. But presumably we approved the previous payment some other
I think
period.
we did that in May.
Yeah.
Okay,
Much
Got it.
different than stuff.
thank you very much for that explanation. All set?
All right. Wealth management fund performance, we continue to do a little bit more than we expect. We have discussion to talk about future asset management. But I don't, there's nothing remarkable to, talk about it. We can go over kind of what the conditions are, but they are actually, First National kind of improved the report and added some comments on those, on the reports that they provided to us. If there's anything that you wanted to discuss, we could, otherwise we could just keep going.
I think before I add that, Bill and I sat down,
Yes.
they showed up with a few folks. At me.
And we asked them to do better and they're doing better. I think that that's good. Second quarter budget reconciliation. We kind of touched on that with Karen's question as well. Any other line items that you wanted to review? And the outstanding ones would be that workers' comp is at nearly 100%, but that's because we paid the full bill. Same with the insurance general liability. And we discussed that we paid 3/4 now for legislative advocacy.
I'm just assuming we have no issues with MWS and the reimbursements unless they're timely and they're.
Everything's been on, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go.
Everything's been on time. Everything's prior. It's actually, it doesn't even go over 30 days. It usually comes in a week before the end of the month. Last week of the month. And it's all electronic. So we see it. Yeah, there's been no issues at all with that.
I should note that the interest income, while it looks low, is because we haven't moved the earned interest, $7,700 of earned interest in the distribution and development account to the operating account. That interest is supporting our $5,000 scholarship, and so we'll move that in Q4. The
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question about the source of funding for the scholarship. We're just using the interest. What other sources are we going to use for that scholarship fund? Any others?
So the
think
way I
intention
set
is
the
to
budget
use that.
up is, we have what they call distribution development account. And I consider that development, and there's $480,000 sitting in there. But I always base the $5,000 scholarship off of a $250,000 sitting in there. And it's an interest-bearing account, cash account. So I just kind of leave it parked in there. because I thought that was its development, and that's a good way to honor the $5,000 scholarship, the interest here. Could we fund that other ways if we didn't get interest? Yes, we still have our miscellaneous, and our contingency, which we haven't touched at all. Haven't had a need as of this time. That's over $60,000 in our regular budget. So, but in distribution development now, they'll make a presentation on, but I think we're always gonna have some kind of reserve there. So if we didn't earn the interest, I'm not ever worried about funding the scholarship. That makes sense, without digging into any investments or reserves.
I'm just wondering if there's a way you can step up the return on the investment itself. It's pretty conservative, a CD or something.
No, that's an interest bearing, bank account.
Yeah,
You get him at 4%.
4 to 5% collection rates. Yeah, we've been, year to date, 7,000 right now.
Yeah.
7,700, and that's only this year account.
Okay, annual audit. We had a discussion in, Q1. And we were trying to determine whether we need a full third-party financial audit or if we could, proceed with the financial review. After extensive consultation with multiple, resources, it's been determined that we are not required to conduct an audit, and we can elect to move forward with that third-party CPA historical review. So a little bit of history. We were previously audited because in the joint venture, each charter member held an equity position. And that allowed all member municipalities to rely on the joint venture's audited financial statements for inclusion of their equity position in their own financial statements. At that time, the joint venture held significant assets that were difficult to audit, including substantial stock in Baylor Hydro and significant ownership stake in PERC. However, our current agreements no longer contain provisions requiring audited financial statements. Keep in mind, for our state and municipal waste solutions, they are required to provide annual third-party audits as part of our agreement with Municipal WasteHub, so therefore we get a value of that. We did send out an RFP looking for a new auditor, and that's kind of what triggered that discussion about whether or not we have to do that full audit. Our recommendation, after going through that process, is to engage Haverlock SDs and Current to conduct an annual financial review for 2024, which is about half the cost of a full audit, a little over $10,000. So that's our recommendation. Are there any comments or discussions, concerns?
I like this approach. Price is right. Think it'll do what we need it to do, and
Done quite a bit of due diligence on that, but you have a lot, that, extensive conversation with George, you've done with it. So, it's having that insurance that always solutions will be wrong.
George would like to say something.
Yeah, just briefly, it's actually a trend for a number of municipalities of our clients to switch from an audit to a review and compilation. So it's not just this organization that's doing it, first of all. And second of all, if you look at the letter that HEC sent, the engagement letter, it's pretty standard. In fact, I've seen 200 of the letters that are almost word for word the same engagement from other entities. So they're providing a standard service. And I would point that it still requires the WasteHub to provide a management discussion and analysis at the end of the year, which we've been doing for the audit in any event. So this is not a big departure from what other entities are doing, and for the reasons you've cited, just costs less to do all those confirmations or do without those confirmations.
I did notice they reverted to Municipal Review Committee a number of times, so I don't know if they did that on purpose in the letter or.
Probably because when I had this conversation, I've been working on this, this was part of this year's pass, this just didn't happen.
Yeah, they had waste up in there a couple times.
Oh, okay.
There, most of it was NRC.
Yeah, they
Well,
missed.
2024 would be MRC.
Right, so that's, I didn't read it very closely. I just noticed that there was a lot of MRC in there and I signed it. They might just want to make sure they got it right,
I think so,
the right places.
I believe in the board meeting will be. Bob,
So is it fair to assume that during the review process, they're doing some testing, some sampling, random sampling? They got to choose which transactions to look at. They're reviewing entries, they say in their letter. So I'm assuming there's some kind of random testing going on, so that if they do pick something up, they help us correct what they found.
My understanding of that financial review is that they do a sampling rather than like a full review of all
Right.
transactions.
No, I got that.
And that if something is picked up, that's why they say in the price, like, it's $10,000, assuming you cooperate with us and we don't find any problems.
And we have our own internal goals.
Yes.
We have a budget review that every quarter, at least, what are you doing for budget versus actual? And I think there are probably enough safeguards in place for us to know that things are the way they need to be.
if you would have said this 2 years ago, I probably would have been hesitant.
Yeah.
But our transactions are so minimal. Our operations are based on current revenues, so we're not cashing out investments to operate. I think we'll probably get more than most people. I think a test. I mean, because we just have such minimal transactions.
Right.
I think probably a test would be almost all of our transactions alone. You know what I mean? I mean, we write 12 or 13 checks a month and we haven't had to move funds around out of our investments for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
So
Now, this makes.
Okay, we have 9 minutes left. To talk a little bit about our proposal for moving forward with our wealth management and investment strategy. We have reached out to two very well-established wealth management firms to develop investment proposals for our current cash reserves. And both firms are current partners. One is First National Wealth Management and the other is Portland Trust, which is through Androscoggin Bank. What we have told both of them is that there would be an initial investment of approximately $1.2 million. And that we'd like to rebuild the contingency reserves to a minimum of $6 million each over a proposed term. We would be adding annual contributions of approximately $55,000 to $65,000 to each account, increasing by 6 to 12% year over year. And that we also asked them to develop and present investment strategies to facilitate account growth back to the minimum $6 million threshold. We received comprehensive proposals from both firms. They are substantially similar. So rather than kind of going through all the details, we'd like to perhaps have an additional board member work with me to review and compare the proposals in more detail. And if the proposals are indeed comparable, as we believe they are, we would seek board approval to begin with $1.2 million allocated to each firm, totaling $2.4 million in investments. And we can look at this little circle chart here that helps kind of detail out where the cash comes from. So currently at Portland Trust, we don't have any money invested with them. That's this bottom left-hand oval. We would move the cash balance of $213,185, leaving $1,000 in the Androscoggin cash account. because we need to have some money in there to keep it open. So we would move that to Portland Trust. We would move $210,000, 846 out of the distribution and development account into the Portland Trust investment account. That leaves 225,000, which is what Mike had calculated he would need to get that $5,000 interest over the course of a year. And $775,000, $775,969 from the contingency account over to Portland Trust, and that gives you 1.2 million. Over at the first, we already have a starting balance of $1,058,803. We would move an additional $141,197 from the contingency account to the first, which will give you 1.2 million there, and leave 191,854 in the contingency account as a cash reserve. So our current long-term vision would say that we're trying to rebuild to a combined goal of $12 million somewhere over the course of 15 to 20 years. We additionally have 1.5 million outstanding from the sale to do 2 WasteHub at commercial operation for late 2026, plus our entitlement to NWS profit sharing once they're profit. So the $12 million goal is based solely on annual contributions from operational revenue and does not factor in additional revenue streams of that 1.5 million or the profit sharing, et cetera. Any questions or concerns that we should consider?
Nope, you missed your way.
I guess I have to ask the fundamental question, why we're splitting this up. It's not a lot of money. And $1.2 million doesn't give you a lot of opportunities to diversify your income. Double that gives you more. And opens the door to perhaps a bit more safety. Because there's no requirement that these 2 investment concerns complement one another or complement what they're doing. They could go off and do exactly the same thing and invest in pretty much the same securities or bonds, and we haven't diversified anything. I'm just wondering why we're splitting it up the way we are, other than the fact that we've worked a long time with Anthropic in the first and have been investing with them in one way or another for a long time. I just wonder whether we're doing the right thing in splitting it up the way we are instead of consolidating it under one roof and then evaluating performance. And if we don't like it, move it out.
Do you want to cover this?
So I'm not a big believer of putting all my eggs in one basket. And Andrew Scoggin, when the plant was in Rears, was just by our side the whole time. And there's nothing that I mean, they just really helped us over the 2 years before we found a partner. And so I just thought with everything that they've done for us, it was appropriate to give them a shot at it. The first, we're getting a good return. We're getting more of a return than what they predicted when we first set up the account. But when the plant, and this discussion that Bell and I just had with them, when the plant went in the Rears, I never heard from them. So this isn't forever. I just thought that we're not putting our eggs all in one basket. We've reestablished that relationship with the first, and I'd like to see how it goes moving forward. Because like I said, the return's great, but I don't feel we're getting customer service that we deserve. And that's kind of why I'm splitting it up. Maybe we'll have this conversation again in 2 or 3 years. I understand what you're saying, but you say it's small amounts of money, even 2.4 million is a small amount of money. When you start looking at the returns, and we still have those cash reserves that hopefully we'll continue to get 4 to 5% on. and maybe that will close the gap. You know, if we're losing a half point here and there. I mean, that's, when I thought about this, I just kind of laid it out. And I just really didn't want to go through a big RFP process and take that risk. I just think we can have this conversation again. But I mean, whatever the board desires, of course, is the direction that.
What are the fees that, the first is charging?
So the first didn't have any fees listed in there. They just gave us a bullet proposal, and the Portland Trust, I believe, was.
Half percent.
Half percent.
Seemed high to me, but,
So.
so that's the other.
That seems high to me.
Oh, well,
Well, and I think that's why we're not, why we're asking to have another board member work with me so that we can really dig into the, two proposals, maybe ask for presentations and talk to them a little bit more. And then if it does seem, substantially equal, that allowing us to move forward with the approach. And of course, if it comes back and we're like, whoa, we lifted one leaf of lettuce and discovered a whole mess of worms, then we can come back to the board.
This was on the task list, and I think what we're asking is kind of what come up, and used to be no decisions are being made, but that's the persistence moving forward. Also, narrow this down, it's a report, make a clear decision. Sometime. But that's something I would like to see what it's always the quarter. I like the reserves. Aaron, I thought you appreciate the distribution development and the contingency. I like having those reserves. And we've asked them, Bob, I believe this came from you, have these folks look at our cash flows and our reserves. Are they adequate? That's been asked. They were both given a pretty detailed, this is what we're looking.
And a short timeline.
Yes. And, at the end of the day, my passion is always put that 6 million back. And now I've asked them both to put 6 million back, so that equates as well. So.
I just, on the face of it, I like Portland Trust strategy more than I like that of the first. First is putting everything in bond. And they will probably put it in bond funds, knowing them, because that minimizes their work. And if you're gonna go out and buy individual bonds, $1.2 million is pretty thin. That's why I brought up the idea of 2.4. You can get a better tier of maturities with more money than you can with a small amount. But Portland Trust is taking a position of 50-50. I'd say 60-40, but they're saying 50% equities and 50% bonds, which will give you a better return, but also hedge if interest rates go up or down. So I'm still sitting on the fence on this. Yeah.
So it's 10:32. We just adjourn and
We'll be
we'll
going on.
be talking about it again.
So.
I think I heard the word adjourn.
Adjourn.
Thank you. You can pause that. Oh.
Good morning, everyone here and joining us virtually. Call the meeting of Municipal WasteHub quarterly meeting to order at 10:35, just a little behind. I will take motion to approve the agenda.
Move.
Second.
Favor? Excellent. You are good. Next, we will consider the minutes of the special board meeting on June 12th, 2025. Copy should be in your packet. Take a motion to approve.
So made. Second.
Any comments, changes?
I'm gonna abstain from vote since I was not at the meeting.
Or 5, 6. It was. Yes. All right, I will, all in favor of the motion? One abstaining. Or is that move? All right, so we are going to discuss updating our name with Maine Municipal Employers Health Trust. We do have.
I would make a motion that we resolve that that Municipal WasteHub join with other participating municipal and quasi-municipal employers in a multiple employer welfare arrangement for the provision of employee health benefits as authorized by 24A MRSA 6601 and sequence. It said arrangement to be known as the quote Maine Municipal Employees Health Trust. And for that purpose, and in consideration of the mutual covenants and agreements among the participating employers, authorize the executive director to enter into a participation agreement on behalf of Municipal WasteHub and take whatever other actions may be necessary. The authority granted herein shall remain until revoked.
Thank you. We have a motion.
Second.
So let me have a second. So this, to clarify, because I had to ask, so is just changing our participation as municipal review committee to Municipal Waste Hub. This is the same plan that we had before.
Findings from them has to be in the minutes to do so.
Excellent. Excellent. Good job. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right, all in favor? Excellent. Have, let's vote. Easy. So we have, well, I have, started to take on some additional responsibilities. Purchasing a new home in Fort Fairfield, so going to be leaving the area. And I notified the board that, I do not want to shortchange the board. I would like to step down from my position as the president effective August 9th. If the board will have me, I would just as soon sit on as long as I am a resident of Bangor. But that president responsibility go. How do we move forward with that? Board have to accept my resignation.
Do you have a date upon which that's going to happen?
August 9th is, I wanted to give just a little bit of notice. I don't know kind of behind the scenes where it needs to go on, but,
Yeah, I can comment briefly on possible procedures. So there were two separate potential vacancies that we talked about. One is the position of president, which is an officer for the board of directors. And if there's a vacancy in that, then the board can basically have a substitution for that. You would choose someone to do that who's also on. But the officer vacancy. The board member possible vacancy, we've gone through this before where a potential board member, they may move for no longer meet the what we call the eligibility requirements of a board member. If you are already an elected board member, that occurs the obligations to provide a notice to the board that has occurred, or in this instance, it's potentially going to occur later down the road. The board then has the discretion to either declare that a vacancy and then fill it. Board member can also still remain to serve the balance of the term as well. In the past, what the board has done is typically accepted resignation effectively and then filled that board member's vacancy. Sometimes that depends on the timing and how that aligns with the annual meeting that's in December. So here, going back to the role of president, what I hear Aaron saying is he's happy to continue doing that, though for a short time period, focusing on August 9th as a potential target date. I think the question before the board is certainly accept that. Looking forward, but also you would want to think who would be the replacement president which is something you could choose to do at this meeting. It could be a future meeting as well. I would suggest that there be a president of board of directors. I think that what's helpful is to have some lead time, advance notice to make sure that there is continuity with the leadership, for lack of a better phrase, on the board.
So, Eric, I understand why you want to resign as president. But you're still gonna be around here.
I anticipate I will still be around till somewhere between September and December.
So you have to
Undetermined at this point.
be on the board at least until the end of the year. Is that a fair statement?
That's what I believe, yes. Believe I still meet the requirements.
Yeah.
To be a board member.
That's good.
And the desire.
And
Yes.
Even better.
Well, I would move with regret to accept Aaron's requested resignation of his board president position.
Second,
motion and second. Any more discussion beyond what we've discussed? All right, all in favor of accepting my resignation? And
And I would further suggest to the board that we might contemplate appointing Bob Butler to fill the position of president through the end of the year. The board may recall that every year in January, we revote on officer positions, so it would be up for consideration again at that time to renew or to choose a new officer slate. But my thought being, Bob has longevity on the board and has also been quite involved in the JACO development and is well versed on that. And I think between now and the end of the year, that could be where the most activity is taking place. That's just a thought.
Bob, are you willing?
I'm honored. But I have a question though. I mean, I don't live in this area. I live 1 hour and a half away. I know how far that is since I drive it. Where's it on? Is that gonna cause logistical issues? That,
So. Funny story, I told Aaron, we can remind everybody talking about it, but I'm the only one not doing it. So. There's 2 other officers that are capable of signing checks. That's the only logistical issue that I would see. We don't sign a lot of checks anymore. So I don't see that, getting to the end of the year being a logistical issue at all. And for what I do, a lot of stuff I do with all. So I think the only thing I can think of is checks, and I think we're covered on that. In my opinion.
I'll second the nomination.
any other discussion? All in favor of Bob taking over the role of president of the board,
Oh, do we need a date?
effective August 9th? All in favor?
Thank you, Bob.
thank you.
And do
Bob was just making sure you didn't have to jump into the seat right now.
Sign.
we don't really need a motion on continuing, allowing me to continue on the board on that. Okay. So I am happily going to turn it over to Belle for the treasurer's report.
All right, so the first item that we'll discuss is the current bills payable. You'll note that we have a payment to Ferdinand Law for $5,000. This is our 3rd quarter retainer for the lobbyists. We actually paid our 2nd quarter, we believe in May. So when you look at our year-to-date financials, you'll see actually 3/4 of expenses for the lobbyists. This is 50% reimbursed by MWS. We also have our annual payment for our property and casualty insurance, so that makes our payables just slightly elevated for this particular month. Any questions about the payables? Can I get a motion to approve them for the month? Do we do it now, or do you want me to do it at the end?
So moved.
Oh, you want me to ask for them? Oh, isn't it your meeting?
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the payables. Any other discussion beyond what we? Okay, all in favor? Excellent, yeah.
All right. Next we have the financial statements. These are QuickBooks reports that, we produce late and long-term review, confirm that there's no irregularities, based on their examination. You'll note that the budget in these reports, is actually the half-year budget and not a full-year budget. I believe that perhaps next time we present these, we'll present these with a full year budget and a percent expended just to kind of standardize the approach that we're taking. There's nothing particularly outstanding. You'll note that within the budget versus actual, that perhaps it looks like we are overspent on legislative advocacy. Again, that's because we have 3/4 already paid, and that we have fully paid for our workers' comp for the year, because we covered that in January, and the same about the property insurance. Were there any questions regarding the financial statements? All right. The, our wealth management fund performance has, been pretty good. We had, kind of a new report provided to us by, First National, and within that, report, they provided us with some commentary, some that explains kind of where our current, investments are. So we have some renewed strength in the bond market. Cooling inflation and rate cutting optimism drove a rally where we saw the 10-year US Treasury yield decline to 4.4% from 4.6%, and the 30-year also fell below 5%. Federal Reserve kept rates unchanged, but acknowledged the downside inflation trends. The Fed has not ruled out a July rate cut yet, depending on how the data evolves. We saw brief military escalations between Israel and Iran, which led to spikes in both oil and gold, but markets stabilized quickly afterwards, and we didn't see any effect. MRC portfolio continues to be diversified well with high-quality bonds, certificates of deposit, and an allocation to the proprietary money market of First National, which is currently yielding 4.15%. And that's helping the portfolio navigate the geopolitical and macroeconomic uncertainty in 2025. So we certainly appreciate the improved reports that First National is providing. They also provided quarter performance if you wanted to see that laid out instead of year to date, quarterly to date. And that's presented in the next page. Nothing outstanding or particular to note there. Any questions about the wealth management fund report? All right, the second quarter budget reconciliation. So we are still doing well in our budget performance. Our revenue targets are being met. We have our interest income looks low. That's because we have not yet transferred the $7,700 of earned interest as of June 30th. That's currently in the distribution and development account. That interest will support our $5,000 scholarship, and we'll transfer that in quarter 4. Our expenses, I discussed kind of when we reviewed our financial reports. They are trending where we would expect them to be. Are there any questions about the second quarter reconciliation? Okay. The next item to discuss is the annual audit financial review. If you recall back in the first quarter, we discussed how we wanted to proceed with our annual audit. And the question was raised as to whether or not we do a full financial audit or if we just do a financial review for 2024. There has been extensive consultation with financial consultants, with our legal consultants, and additional CPAs, and it's been determined that Municipal WasteHub is not required to conduct an audit, but may elect to move forward with an annual third-party CPA financial review. So as a little bit of historical context, the joint venture was previously audited because each charter member municipality held an equity position, allowing all member municipalities to rely on the joint venture's audited financial statements for inclusion of their equity position in their own financial statements. At that time, the joint venture held significant assets that were difficult to audit, including substantial stock in Bangor Hydro and significant ownership stake in PERC. However, our current agreements no longer contain provisions requiring an audited financial statement. Also, Municipal Waste Solutions is required to provide annual third-party audits, and that is part of our agreement with them. And so that can value our investment in that venture. We've included in the board packet a letter of engagement with Haverlock, SD, and Current to conduct an annual financial review. The cost is approximately half the cost of a full audit. Staff and I recommend the board consider engaging with Haverlock, SDs, and Current to conduct this annual financial review for 2024. Are there any questions about it first?
We have motion.
Thank you.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion about the move from an audit to a financial review with your lock estimate?
Review that, but did it give you details on what they're gonna review and what you have to prepare?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I met with him.
Yeah.
And he said it's gonna be similar, but it's gonna be like random.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I'll provide all the same material, but they won't look.
they won't look through it completely.
But like we discussed earlier, compared to the way we were working a couple of years ago with handling all the repayments and stuff, I think that what we supply was minimal. Random will probably be most of our information.
Right.
It's just not like a municipality.
My hand doesn't get cramped when I sign checks every month.
George would like to say something.
Any other discussion?
George.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind the board that the financials ultimately are the basis for the allocation of the overall value of WasteHub among the individual members. Now, we did go through a process in 2018-19 when there were 72 members that left the what was then the MRC, and we had to go through a process where we actually had to figure out how much of the then held funds were to be distributed to each of those 72 entities. That was all based on audited records and went off completely without a hitch. So I think the organization has a record of managing the allocations successfully. I think the change from the audit to review really wouldn't affect that allocation process. It may be that in the future, if there is a need to do that, you may go back to an auditing process. But at this point, the review was certainly sufficient to provide the confidence going forward that the funds are being accounted for correctly. So I just want to put that in there, that there is that additional consideration that at some point, when funds are distributed to individual members, they will undergo scrutiny, and you have to be comfortable that the scrutiny will, that you'll be able to answer the questions that might come up at that point.
Excellent. Thank you for the additional information, George.
Well, one recommendation Donald made, when speaking with him, is we may want to choose to do one every 3 or 4 years, but I thought we'd go this route, see how it goes, and then we can look at that. And look at the cost of that, 3 or 4 years for that.
Right, any other discussion, questions? All right, we have a motion and a second on the table, all in favor of moving from the audit to a review,
And you can have all.
and you can have a look, Esty. All right, that's a unanimous vote.
All right, so next, we have a, proposed wealth management and investment strategy. We have been, working with 2 established wealth management firms to develop investment proposals for our current cash reserves and investments, focusing on stronger long-term reserve availability. Both firms are current partners, First National Wealth Management and Portland Trust, which is through Androscoggin Bay. The investment objectives that we presented to them was that we provide an initial investment of approximately $1.2 million to each firm. And we'd like to rebuild our contingency reserves to a minimum of $6 million. And we asked them to provide back their proposed term for that reserve. We said that we would be providing annual contributions of $55,000 to $65,000 to each firm, increasing that by 6 to 12% year over year. And we asked for an investment strategy that would facilitate the account growth back to a minimum $6 million threshold. We received proposals from both firms, and rather than going through all the details that is provided in the packet, I would like to ask that the board consider assigning an additional member to work with me and staff to fully review and compare the proposals objectively. If the proposals are comparable, we'd ask to seek board approval to begin with the $1.2 million allocated to each firm, totaling $2.4 million in initial investment. The funding would come, there's a circle chart within your board packet. At the starting at the lower left-hand corner of Portland Trust, there's currently $0 invested with that firm. We would propose sending $213,185 from the Androscoggin cash account to Portland Trust. That would leave $1,000 in that Androscoggin cash account to keep the account open. In distribution and development, there's currently $435,846, and we would recommend moving $210,846 to Portland Trust, leaving a remaining balance of $225,000. That $225,000 would support interest generation of the $5,000 for the scholarship. And then moving an additional $775,969 from our contingency account, and that adds up to that $1.2 million we had discussed. Currently, at the first, we have a starting balance of $1,058,803. We'd recommend moving an additional $141,197 to that investment account to bring that balance up to $1.2 million. That would leave in the contingency account $191,854 from an initial balance of $1,109,020. Any questions about the proposed funding sources for the investments? All right. So the long-term vision, we've asked each firm to provide us with the strategies, targeting that $6 million return over 15 to 20 years, which is aligned with our other contract terms, with a combined goal of $12 million. We do not currently rely on investment funds for operational costs. We additionally have another $1.5 million outstanding from the sale to that are due to WasteHub as commercial operation or late 2026, plus our entitlement to NWS profit sharing once NWS is profitable. The $12 million goal is based solely on annual contributions that we would set within the budget each year from operational reserves, and does not factor in any additional revenue sources, as I just mentioned. So that's the primary proposal is that we have an additional board member to work through the details. We believe at first blush that they're substantially similar proposals. And then the secondary proposal is asking the board to consider approving that approach of splitting the $1.2 million to each of us.
Do we have any nominations for a person to work with Bell to analyze these two investment strategies?
Or volunteers.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Now, how much this has been discussed?
I would love to nominate Bob. I hate that Bob's getting all these jobs, but he's so good at this, and he always has questions about our investments and has ideas about what should be done. So I know he's very knowledgeable about this, but Bob, I understand if you feel like your plate's a little overfull these days, but I know you do a great job, and this is right up your alley.
I just don't want to step on anybody's toes.
My first move too. Dare say it since you already accepted.
These toes are well behind the line.
I'd be happy to work. And we're looking for a recommendation at the next quarterly meeting.
I think we need it before. So what I envision is we get both firms in and go over all the nuts and bolts to these two board members, and then we ask you to move forward, or do we bring that to we call a special meeting and bring that to the board? I just don't think, I think wait until October is well, I got everything moving right now.
Yeah, let's
I want to
I feel like I
get,
should reserve a special board meeting as an option if you run into problems. If everything seems above board in this normal investment scenarios, nothing out of the ordinary, we move forward with it, so we start making some money.
I just want to caveat, I'm leaving in the middle of September and won't be back till the middle of October.
Well, I guess
So-
we ought to get it done before
We
the
got it.
middle of September. Unless you're going someplace great, in which case I'll go with you.
I did have one quick question. So I take it we have an investment policy already?
we updated an investment policy back in 2018, as I just,
Okay. So we have something in
we
place.
have something and I shared it with both firms.
Okay.
The first already had it. But so what I said is read this, but if you feel we need to operate outside of the guidelines of this to meet our goals, then that needs to be brought to the board's attention so that they can make a motion or the vote. So that's the playing field they're in now, and they both read it, like the Portland Trust proposal was like 10 pages. I only shared the first couple pages because I wanted to kind of move forward with the presentation for both. So we'll learn more of that, and that might be a situation where we have to have color outside the lines a little bit, but
I just wanted to make sure, we
Yeah.
had something in place that sort of gives us guidelines for equity investments if we go that route, all that. Thank you.
So I would take a motion to appoint Bob to review these with the treasurer and to allow them to move forward with the investment, providing no concerning information is found.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor? That is unanimous.
Thank you, Bob. Good now.
Thank you very much. Excellent. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. That was a lot to go over. Next, we will move on to the asset management report. We shorted George previously in the finance committee just for lack of time. So we get to hear it all now. All yours, George.
Okay, thank you, Aaron, and thank you to the board. The quarterly reports, the asset management letters are basically, it's an independent tracking of bank account deposits, withdrawals for the joint venture. We've been doing it for a long time. It supported the annual audit. It can provide a trail that supports and facilitates the annual review, gives a basis for the management discussion and analysis, which is part of that review. And it also involves tracking allocations to individual member communities for future record. It's a lot easier now than now that many of the functions that that at that time the MRC had performed are now being delegated to Innovative and MWS in terms of receiving tip fees and paying for disposal. But what the report basically does is lay out where the funds are at the end of each quarter. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but the pages 2 and 3 just list the assets and shown what the value is. These are all tied directly to the bank statements. There are also non-financial assets, including the site, which is valued at $5 million. The receivable, which is a contingent payment due to WasteHub upon resumption of commercial change based on some future transactions, but we have the most recent number reviewed by the auditor in the statement, and also the value of the ownership position, which is right now tied to the 2023 audit. We're not updating it. We're working off audited values from the MWS audits. So accounting for the above, we're showing a full value or net position as of the end of the quarter, as of June 30th, 2025, of $9,256,865.42. And again, we'll update this every quarter. So happy to take questions. I think that there is reference in the letter to the fact that some of the investment positions may change going forward, and we'll track them as the decisions are made by Mel and Bob Butler and ratified by the board as necessary. So questions? I don't think there are any other independent recommendations at this point. It's just tracking the information for the record.
So thank you, George. Questions for George?
Yeah, I'm just sort of turning over. Maybe I shouldn't ask the question. I should just tell me to be quiet. I don't know if it's premature or not, and that concerns how the devil we account for JCO. It's premature. Okay, I just wanted to put that on the table to think about going forward. Thank you.
I guess my response is it would be similar to the way we account for MWS LLC, which is we have an ownership position in a private entity that will ultimately have its own audit and use the similar procedures, and the details are to come because we're not there yet.
Thank you for your forward-looking. Sorry. Focus. Any other questions for George? All right, thank you very much, George. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I will turn it over to the executive director.
Thank you, Aaron. I'd like to start with, and I should have, and congratulate John on his new practice. think that we were his first one.
Happy to be.
So congratulations, John. My report's a little lengthy, and I'll try to get through it quickly. Tonnage statistics in Q2. Our members generated a total of 23,410 tons of municipal solid waste, a decrease of 110 tons compared to Q2 of 2024, which was 23,523 tons. We successfully reopened MWS at the transfer station on April 7th, operating Monday through Friday, which 4,750 tons have come through the facility in Q2 of this year. Since then, we've been accepting waste from over 30 WasteHub members, averaging just over 150 tons daily. Plan to continue to increase tonnage every 2 to 3 weeks. Operating as a transfer station during this interim period allows us to carefully monitor incoming materials, identify unacceptable waste, and measure fiber and organic volume for the digester, all critical data for ongoing operations. This process has been invaluable as most waste has been acceptable, but we are identifying problematic materials like tires, needles, and sludges. We've been able to document these issues and work directly with the member communities to resolve them. One interesting discovery, automobile tires fit in curbside collection rolling containers serviced by side loaders. We've been able to work with the affected communities and educate residents through their social media platform. We've also created posters for our members and have been posting waste do's and don'ts on our social media platform. Facility update. On May 30th, Municipal Waste Solutions received our amended waste processing permit. We've always had a permit, but the material recovery facility known as the MRF had conditions that needed to be met before startup. We updated DEP on the MRF changes and processes, filling in the necessary gaps, so the permit was amended. We can now start the MRF when ready in Q4. I don't want to steal any of Innovation's thunder, so Kevin and Gary will provide a full municipal waste solution facility update covering staffing, construction timelines, and investment. It's been a busy Q2. We are steadily checking off boxes of goals and directives from the board of Municipal WasteHub wanted to complete. Hub and spokes. We continue working with a handful of members, partnering with their transfer stations, positioned at key locations throughout our service area. These will function as regional spokes connected to our central hub, Municipal Waste Solutions. This expanded infrastructure will allow us to offer a much wider range of services for virtually all types of waste and recyclables. For our member communities, this means reduced disposal and transportation costs due to optimized volume handling and logistics. Hub and spoke model enables us to efficiently process recyclables, construction and demo waste, bulky items, tires, and much more, creating a truly comprehensive waste management solution. Transportation. To implement our hub and spoke model, our partner, Innovative Resource Recovery, has added a dedicated transportation division to their operations. And this is genuinely a game changer. They've already acquired an impressive fleet of tractors and trailers specifically for our operations. This significant investment will work seamlessly between the hub and spoke locations to efficiently and economically move waste and recyclables throughout our network. We have already started actively providing quotes to members in Q2 for their transportation needs. Beyond the operational advantages, this transportation solution creates valuable synergy among members to significantly reduce collective carbon footprint through optimized routing and full capacity loads. Jayco acquisition. Perhaps our most significant development is the acquisition of the former J Mill disposal site, which we secured at zero cost and rebranded as Jayco. Board member Bob Butler successfully signed the Jayco membership interest purchase agreement on June 13th, right after the member town hall meeting on June 12th. This critical milestone enabled us to file the permit transfer application. The legal notes for the permit transfer request was published in Lewiston Sun Journal on Sunday, June 15th. As part of this process, I met with the J Town manager and select board before our town hall, then presented to the J community in a public meeting on June 23rd. I had the opportunity to introduce Municipal WasteHub to the community and address any of their questions. The reception was positive with no negative feedback or pushback from residents. A Sun Journal reporter attended the meeting and conducted a follow-up interview, resulting in positive coverage published the next day, June 24th. We anticipate finalizing the operation agreement by the end of next week, making another significant milestone. The J-Code property includes existing wastewater treatment facility, which presents exciting possibilities. We plan to utilize the site as one of our spoke locations to efficiently direct waste and recyclables to Hamden, but also use it for construction and demo debris disposal. J-Code came complete with the necessary closure funds for proper maintenance and site closure when needed, and we will not accept any out-of-state waste. Our experienced partner will handle day-to-day operations and liabilities, ensuring professional management of this asset. Also checked off the list, as Bell mentioned, we also completed meetings with the wealth management firms which have proposed long-term investment strategies. We have confirmed whether annual audits are needed, and I have completed the first draft of the Municipal WasteHub Scholarship Guidelines, which we'll review at the end of my report. Q2 member and community engagement. WasteHub donated branded gloves for community Earth Day cleanup events in April. Communities that received gloves included Bangor, Millinocket, Hamden, Dexter, China. All thank Municipal WasteHub for glove donations on their social media platforms. We conducted in-person meetings with Vassarboro, Southwest Harbor, Waldoboro, and Acadia Disposal District. We also provided many facility tours at MWS last quarter, including the Maine Resource Recovery Association with over 30 attendees, Bar Harbor leadership, including the town manager James Smith, the Public Works Director Bethany Levette, and the Penobscot Climate Action Committee with approximately 14 attendees, including our own Bell Ryder. We've had several news and media posts, but our major media opportunity is a Waste 360 featured article. Waste 360 is one of our industry's premier waste management publications. They've reached out to Municipal WasteHub for an upcoming featured article. This presents a significant opportunity for our organization. Waste 360 serves over 90,000 professionals worldwide and stands as a leader in information and education when it comes to solid waste, recycling, organic, and sustainability. Publication plays a critical role in connecting industry professionals globally through its flagship event, Waste Expo. Spent an hour and a half being interviewed by their writer, and they also interviewed Kevin Hogan of Innovative, WasteHub board member Melissa, and Waldoboro Town Manager Julie Kaiser. Having a featured article in a publication of this caliber represents a substantial accomplishment for our organization and will significantly enhance WasteHub's visibility and credibility. Legislation updates. The first special session of the 123rd Maine legislation adjourned on June 25th. It was a busy session over the last few months in Augusta. We worked with our lobbyists to track 26 waste bills this session and overall are very happy with where they landed. Municipal WasteHub staff was active and present attending environmental and natural resource committee sessions. We had the opportunity to connect one-on-one with several senators and representatives and state representatives, providing comprehensive updates on the Municipal WasteHub Solutions facility. One key amendment I'd like to share involved EPR. We had to dig our heels in to ensure that the MWS facility would continue to be compliant with Maine Extended Producer Responsibility, EPR, after a particular amendment was made. Regulatory officials addressed our concerns and provided a comprehensive clarification letter stating the facility is compliant Once again, demonstrating their professionalism and dedication, we have come to appreciate in all our interactions with them. Completed materials now available. We now have several resources. We've now completed a few resources. Member transfer station stickers. I don't have one of them. They're coming in. A little sticker like you used to see in the chamber, you put on your windows. It says proud member of WasteHub. Member transfer posters. Says they're part of WasteHub. Transfer station posters. And unacceptable waste poster.
But maybe make those as stickers so that people can put them on their waste bin.
As soon as I get through the 200 that I just. These are more for a transfer station to put on their waste bin where they dispose of
I'm thinking of the communities that are putting in,
bins.
yeah.
I talked to Jim, Dunning about it, but we'll see how far. So that has come up. And if you want, we're cute to play the video. The video's done, if you'd like to see it. So just give us a minute.
This is how WasteHub and its over 100 member towns and cities in Maine meet the state 50% recycling goal. Municipal WasteHub. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Cool.
So sweet.
Yes. Thank you to all that were involved in those meetings.
That's YouTube still playing.
Oh.
Yeah.
So with that, is there any questions on my update? Because then I'd just like to talk about the scholarship.
During committee updates, or was that the?
The legislative, and then also the communications committee on the video and I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't say.
Doesn't work, but you have questions or comments?
Yeah, how do we get hold of that video to spread the word?
So-
Make it available.
I am working with Design Lab right now, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a nice piece, that talks about the material we have available for the do's and don'ts on waste. And also the video, we're gonna do a nice letter, like, very similar, the idea came from like I did when we were changing the name.
Right.
And then we're gonna send that out, but once again, I'm gonna call each town manager. And make them aware this is here, we'd like you to, but I can get you links to the video, and anybody that. Should be easier to find. One thing we're working on is that so in the background right now, they're working on the website, developing the website. We've checked a lot of boxes off the last couple of quarters. I mean, changed our name and everything. It's been busy. But they don't own the website. They're not hosting it yet. So we do have the video on the website, but it's not the easiest to find. And once we do that transition, which we're hoping in Q3, it'll be right there. But I have a link I can share with you, but we are putting a package together next. Talks about these materials that are available. Just let me know what you need, how many you need, and please share this video. Then that would be a phone call.
When are they gonna post it up on Facebook?
Now that I showed it to you, that it's on our website, but I want you folks to see it. I know some people that sometimes I share a link and it didn't, a link. So now that you've seen it, it'll go up.
Are they also talking about taking like 15-second, 30-second clips of it, do like pre-roll ads?
Radio. So we're talking about taking clips of it and doing radio.
I'd rather see like YouTube ads, like pre-roll YouTube, like within Facebook, how you get sucked into watching the reel and then you get an ad midway.
I can do that. Are you talking about that?
The stormwater group did that and it was fairly effective.
It's called pre-roll ads.
Pre-roll, like pre-video or post-video or whatever, so it's, you just take a short clip of the existing video and play it for that.
I also thought our next board meeting would be nice for them to kind of do a big update. I just knew this was gonna be one, you know. We go through our contract relationship. Yeah, the box is off.
Any other comments, questions? So you go right into the,
Yeah, so this is another box I wanted to get checked, and I'm just looking for some direction. So I don't think an approval process is needed because the board approved, it's in our budget for scholarship. I've been working with MMA. Paul, Melissa, is it Paul? Paul, I'm sorry, I didn't- Paul. Peter. And they give me a lot of guidance on it. They shared with things that they did. So I just had a couple questions. You know, this is just a footprint. I'll send the final around when we're ready to roll it out. I figure we'll roll it around out for September. We'll ask it to come back. First November, I put dates in here, like, I think I said September 10th, we'll ask you to come back November 10th, that gives. I figured we talked to each of our member communities, they would provide it to their school boards. That type of thing. Then I thought what would happen is either we would form a committee or we could just do a special board meeting. I think you guys should maybe form a committee. They can get a lot to narrow it down. I don't know how you want to handle that part. So that's one of my questions. We're gonna need all these applications in. How do we narrow down? How do we award one? The goal is probably to award it at the annual meeting. So that's one of my questions. The other question I have is, we said $5,000 scholarship. I have your edit, so Bob can do some edit. But MMA, I think they do $1,000 scholarship, which I thought was in my opinion, I thought that was, I don't know if 1,000 buys you a lot. University. So, I was wondering, do you want to do 1.5? Do you want to do 25s? Or between miscellaneous and contingency, you could almost do 3 2s. Just something to think about. So that's one question I had. The other one is, I'm sure we want to make this so that, and I took this from the MMA, they have to attend a main university, school, or that type of thing. So that's it. Okay, that's a requirement.
So one of the issues is that they won't know.
Okay.
When they apply, they're gonna have no idea what they're gonna.
Very early, this is very early.
Yeah, I mean, they're not even gonna know what they're gonna be studying in college because they're applying the fall of their senior year in high school, so.
So that's good to know, because 2 requirements in here are in the municipal environmental studies or
Yeah.
They're just gonna be able to talk about their aspirations. They're really,
Yeah.
few of them are gonna be very concrete and know exactly what they're gonna do.
And they're the ones who probably will change their sophomore year.
Right.
I would recommend that we actually switch the timeline so that maybe we award it at the end of our first quarter meeting. And then perhaps ask the scholarship recipients if they're available to come to the annual meeting like 9 months later after they started college. Just to be like, here's who we made the award to and they've started their school.
Yeah, most scholarships are given out spring of your senior year. You know, May is the award season, all the schools are. Yeah, so.
I mean, I don't think it precludes us if you really wanted to do one in 2025. I don't think it precludes us from doing it. I just know having a very recent high school graduate, November of his senior year, he was still picking his nose and had, I mean, yeah. He was not thinking about applying for scholarships.
The other upside is you'll accrue more interest in the account now in spring of next year.
Yeah.
So we'll have options then.
And I mean, you could give out 2 rounds if you wanted to. And also like, Ryder got a $500 scholarship. That covers 2 semesters of the book fee at University of Maine. Like, anything is help. So I have no problem with the $2,500. I've got no problem with 5,000, and I also have no problem with like 2,000 or 1,000. I think that it's all useful to a kid who's attending college. I also think that by having more, you're able to spread out your impact amongst your member communities.
So let's, when would we share this?
At the December meeting.
Should go on in December meeting.
If you're thinking about it on an annual cycle, it'd be
Yeah.
great. You announce it.
Okay.
This year,
Okay.
we're gonna be doing this and, don't forget members, encourage your, seniors to
Okay.
submit applications, this spring, whatever the deadline.
And we would want to make sure we send it to the guidance counselor offices of the high schools in the member communities.
Isn't that the definition? There's a list of
Yeah.
all the scholarships that most can apply for.
Yeah, most
Live.
guidance counselor offices, like, centralize and aggregate the, scholarships. And then, I mean, at Orono High School, they had a spreadsheet that you just went on and you're like, I'd be eligible or not.
So we're submitting this in December, we're talking about it, and getting it out there. When would we want it back?
I would say no later than the end of March.
So
The
we would,
beginning of March.
Yeah,
we
because
would review it in Q2.
we done a review in April for high school scholarships. We were reviewing and awarding in April.
Yeah,
Okay.
April, May, I think is when you want it.
Yeah,
Oftentimes, the, high schools might have like a baccalaureate night and they announce scholarship awards at the baccalaureate night. For Orono, it's the Wednesday before graduation, which is usually like the first weekend in June. First or second weekend in June. So we'd have to have a decision made prior to that time.
Yeah, so like our April meeting, if there's anything we're gonna vote on, I don't know, voting on it anyway, but
understood.
Tony, you had a,
Yeah, I just like the idea of multiple small, whether 1,000, 2,000, 2,500, but just small one.
But I would caution, you may be surprised at how difficult it is to get applications. Sometimes organizations struggle to find people to apply for their scholarships, so.
Which is why you gotta make sure those guidance counselors
Yeah.
got it.
And
you
some
know
it's factor with guidance counselors is that in our school district, some are part of the waste hub and some towns aren't. So if you give to the guidance counselor, she has to know, or he has to know, which towns in the school districts are waste hub members.
we can make that part of the packet we send over, the flyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By then, they're all gonna be wasted members.
Hey,
That's the attitude.
Some scholarships for, college freshmen. That's something that they can apply to freshman year as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was wondering why we just narrowed it to just the high school, because it would be great if we got somebody who was in the municipal field, and if they are, like the Muskie School, or even FNA, they would, sometimes you need scholarships more later on, that you do. Finally, you're active, and you're like, oh, I should have applied. Yeah.
So
That would be Ryder right now. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
you're a still.
So we're saying possibly when I get you another draft, open it to high school seniors and college freshmen or first year.
Can I just take it a step further? Just put it on the board table. A lot of the times, kids will get through the first year of college and they have to leave because they don't have the money. They can't afford to continue going on. What if we made this a perpetual annual scholarship to those who receive it in year one? And assuming they have good grades and are still on the path, they get renewed every year until they graduate. So we're giving them continual support from the day they matriculate to the day they get out. Now, that'll mean we have to fund a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm 5 years, but wow.
Well,
Well, if they're smaller, so if you're
Yeah,
doing
there's-
1,000 each, so it's 4,000 over 4 years, but it's only, you can give out multiple in a year.
And if it's a 4-year cycle, our maximum is $16,000.
More to manage, but
I mean, we can build the fund to the point where it could actually support that if we wanted.
I would suggest that we start as a standard, like 1 year, and then if our investments are doing well, if we decide that profit sharing is doing well, we want to increase our scholarship fund, then we could consider expanding to multiple years. But I also think that that it could add a lot of administrative overhead to the program, because then you've got to track,
Build on the program.
yeah, let's start.
Yeah,
Let's start.
Okay.
If a student gets one their first year, they automatically get the second year. I know that's what we're talking about, but without that in place.
Yeah, I think we're talking baby steps. We'll start with the board, and then what the next step to this that we
Yeah,
would
but-
do
but
is
if-
check on it.
If you get it the first year, you have to reapply for the second.
I think what Bob was proposing was that we provide a $4,000 scholarship payable and $1,000
Yes,
from
I
it
understand that part.
over 4 years, and that it would be, you'd have to submit the grades or whatever.
Yes. Is it transferable between schools? Will it be?
Well, that's why I'm saying,
I
like,
can't-
let's just do one annual.
Let me get some guidelines.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or
And I would say that we're expanding it to first year students instead of limiting it to first year students. Let's just say we'll expand it to current university students or students who are currently enrolled in a full-time secondary education.
I can look that up.
Yeah, thank you for providing the purpose.
Okay.
My truck, I'm like,
What about the essay? Everybody do the essay? I Googled standard essays. They're actually a lot larger. That's why I put a minimum. Most of them said a maximum of 2,000 words.
Oh my God, I don't want to read those.
no, yeah.
So,
There's only so many words I want to read from ChatGPT.
I would put in a maximum, though, not a minimum.
they also need a maximum
I
Yeah.
would put in a
Yeah,
maximum.
of what?
Well,
So my report was 1,500 words.
1,000 words.
1,500?
Yeah,
Right.
I
Way
would
too long.
1,500 words.
I'd say
500, yeah, 5 to 750. I mean, you have to remember that probably the ideas may be their own, but the words are gonna be ChatGPT. So I would not be looking at the construction of the essay as a criteria, more about like, what are the ideas that they're presenting? And if they can't get that across in 500 words, then
You okay with the letter of reference has to be from superintendent, school select board member or city manager?
Those are examples. You said such as.
So it's, I mean,
I,
Town manager.
town
Okay.
plus city manager I have. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have some reservations about those suggestions, because not every kid is gonna be actually known.
Right.
By the superintendent or the manager
Or
or
you should include like teacher. I mean,
like teacher.
Yeah, I mean, just
Guidance
these
counselor,
ones are just a
teacher.
little bit,
Yeah, and not necessarily somebody who could give us an accurate reference for the kid.
This is for 2 and 4-year schools, right? I think I saw that.
Yeah.
And then Bob recommended, and I agreed, I kind of went a little bit on like giving them guidelines or a scope on what they should write about.
I just hope they don't have access to Gemini or some other chat bot.
they all do.
I mean, I'm saying, like, you're gonna, what you wanna do is pull out the nuggets of the ideas and not look at. Not be like, oh, what a wonderful turn of phrase they provided.
So,
That's not their turn of phrase.
and what do you guys on the next draft, you just want to see examples of what we want to do for a financial contribution, or we just decide on something?
No, I leave that to the committee. The committee that selects the candidates, they're gonna read the essays, they'll know, they'll be
She's
closest
talking
to.
about the money, like, are we gonna do like
I mean, you were saying,
5,000
yeah,
or?
you were saying just make a $5,000 pool, and committee to select how much of that pool they want to distribute to the different applications.
Yeah.
Kids like to know what they're.
Yeah,
applying
we
for.
wanna know what they're applying for.
Is it worth it or not? Yeah, like,
Yeah. I
I'm
think,
sorry.
I could get going there in a minute, but are we getting closer to an opening date? Full open?
I'm still at Q4, but things are moving right along. They got equipment showing up, they got staff increasing, the trucks are showing up. We're still shooting for Q4. So I just don't have an exact date. Late November, early December.
We got an estimate of some sort of.
Late November, early December. I did until like the CPs coming in, start doing their installations and stuff. They're just pulling the pins on all that. So far, everything looks good. I mean, Gary, you can speak better to this. I'm just nervous that there's some widget that's gonna be needed, that's 6 weeks out and my date gets all. I've been given dates for 3 years now, so I'm being very careful. But I meet with the team once a week. We have a Wednesday meeting and it's still Q4. Okay, yeah. That's the best I can do on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And this meeting is like on our YouTube channel, so when Innovative speaks, you'll have an opportunity to hear what they say if you want to come back and watch the meeting.
I'll just send it to you. I'll send you the link. Okay,
Just later.
thank you, sir. See ya.
I would say, I would recommend 2,500 scholarship.
I'm really a fan of the 1,000s.
Just not sure we're gonna get that many applications that might.
Out of 115 communities, I think yeah.
I also, I've never put a nugget out there, but between surveys and we chase a lot of shit. So to get people to get that.
If we give it to the guidance counselor offices. With plenty of time, I think that we would for sure get 5 qualified applications.
You can say minimum of $1,000, and then if we don't get a bigger pool, then the committee can add additional.
It's gonna be like, I'm so sad I applied for $1,000 scholarship and you're giving me
So,
2,500.
Up to $5,000 in scholarships, minimum of $1,000 each.
There you go. Yeah.
That's good. Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Oh, and not just high school guidance counselors, but local universities, community colleges.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big, I hope there's tools for. I mean, they're all over this.
I think there is.
Registration office.
Yeah.
Yeah, listed scholarships.
And then a list of the
Yeah,
universities.
I think that there is, but I can reach out and find out.
Maybe those universities and grade schools can by, then I'm sure that, yeah. Okay. Yeah, good. I'll reach out.
All right, thank you, Mike, for all your work on that. Appreciate it. And now we'll invite Gary to speak. Give us a second. No?
See you, Gary.
Gary's gonna give us a second quarter update.
Well, Mike stole my thunder already about the date, so, I'll let Kevin give the overview.
Sure. Hey guys, sorry I couldn't be there in person. I think we've had a pretty productive quarter. Mike touched on a lot of this, but a lot of good things happening. So we've been operating as a transfer station for the last few months. We're averaging right now, I think we're kind of run rating what would be 40,000 tons a year. So ramping up nicely in terms of the amount of volume the facility is able to run through. The big one for us obviously was getting that permit amendment officially approved. So now we are full, I'd say off to the races on the MRF development. So we're just firming up equipment delivery schedules with the plan of still starting in Q4. So that's all very exciting. We have built out the team further. We brought on both a logistics supervisor, who is, managing, is going to manage, I'll call it the front end of the facility as well as all the logistics assets we're bringing. And we also brought on a facility and maintenance manager to help us, more tightly manage, I'll call it just the small fixes we need to do as we get the facility up and running. And then as the MRF comes online, he's the one who will keep the gears turning, etc. So we're really excited to have him. He's going to be a key member of the team as well. And then equipment is starting to show up. So if you guys remember the bag openers that we acquired a while ago, those had been stored off site and we had some work that we needed to get done on them. Those have been brought to the facility, so that's great. And we're also starting to see some of the trucks and trailers that we had been working to get here arrive. I think we've got 3 tractors and 5 trailers now, and that number is increasing, and we're going to do some work to get them ready for Maine. It's a little bit of a different operating environment than they were before, but we're excited to get that up and running as well. So I mean, I'll call it the 5-minute or maybe 2-minute elevator pitch. There's a lot of work that happened in between that. I want to thank Mike for all his help in getting us here. There's been a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we needed to do on our end, both in on the permitting side of things and in getting the waste into the facility and managed. So he's been integral part of the team in getting it there. So thanks, Mike. And I don't know, Gary, if there's anything else you'd add, but those are, like I said, those are kind of the highlights, and happy to answer any questions.
So we continue to, as Mike said, ramp up the tons. We're roughly at 150 tons a day.
Yeah.
There we go. So we're averaging just around 150 tons a day, taking that from a variety of different towns and local municipalities as well. Working with Mike, trying to bring in some volume from every one of the members so we get to see it. Obviously, where it makes sense. The ones that are south of North Shore really do not make a lot of sense to come up here, just to go back down there. So we're getting a view of all of those. We're reporting on each one of those loads into Mike, his team, so he can give some feedback to the communities. We've seen improvements, but we still see some items that should be in a list. Why Mike is really focused on working on the presentation and the posters to educate everybody of what can go in and what can't. But we're very pleased with what we're seeing and our ability to handle that. The last piece, besides the equipment we have on site, we actually have some backup equipment coming. That's going to be arriving here in the next week or so. The only thing that Kevin did mention, so that we have the ability to keep running no matter what the circumstances are at the plant.
How are the organics looking? Are they meeting the profile you were anticipating?
Yes, and right after the 4th of July, I'll say we actually got more organics than than what we had seen. So this seasonality associated with all of that. But yes, it is in line with what we more than average and what we have projected. Any other questions for Kevin or Gary? Thank you very much, both of you, for your update.
Thank you,
And thank you for recognizing Mike's efforts. Yeah. It's nice to hear that confirmation that what we see on this end is followed through on your end as well. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Next quarterly meeting is scheduled for October 22nd, 2025.
Can I ask a question about the quarterly meetings? And maybe I'm jumping down here, Mike, but I'm gonna forge ahead anyway. We do the finance committee meeting before every quarter meeting, and it's a wonderful dress rehearsal for me because Karen asks questions and then I can get the answers, and then in the board meeting, I can have all my act together, but it's the exact same information that's being presented at each meeting. And I'm wondering if we save finance committee meetings for times when we have actual things to like chew over and discuss, and that we'll be bringing to the board at a maybe like a later time. Like, if we want to change the investment policy, we might have a standalone finance committee meeting. We talk about the investment strategy, et cetera, and then we bring it to the board during the regular meeting, rather than having half hour, which is maybe not quite enough time to get through all the info, and then we say the same thing again a little bit later. Does that make sense?
I think so. I don't think our finance.
You're off.
I don't think our finances are as complex as they were once again a couple of years ago. And we don't vote on anything in the finance committee. I see it as being a committee like what we do with the other committee when there's a need. The waste or communication, we have it. I really felt like I rushed Bell today because I didn't, there was so much information that I gave her to go over that. And then we just went over it. I agree that Karen's prep was awesome though.
Better in the board meeting. But I'm willing to look a little less better in the board meeting and save people that half an hour. Yeah, and listening to duplicate information.
Would you consider these meetings to be by Zoom? Person, these any periodic?
I would say that it would be like whenever needed, like
Right,
the
right.
communication.
That's what I mean, but in person or Zoom?
Most committee meetings we've done. have been by Zoom.
Yep, so thanks.
So would the idea be to have a finance committee meeting? And then, not necessarily in conjunction with the board meeting, have a finance committee. Then as part of the committee reports, this would be one of the committee reports.
Yeah, if there's a need, if there's something that we have to chew over.
Otherwise, the financial report out is part of just like it is now, part
It's
of
like
the board.
part of the quarterly meeting.
So
Because we don't even have time to chew on things with that 30-minute.
it used to be an hour. I know we dropped it down, right? It's because there was a lot. to go. Do we have to take a vote, change that?
I don't think you have to vote to change it. I think if there's some consensus, what I'm hearing is no potential need to have a finance committee meeting immediately preceding quarterly meeting. That finance committee just decide to meet as needed in between regular meetings, or frankly, anytime.
Very doable.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah. So that would change our start time on quarterly meetings. I'm sure Mike will let us know.
I'm sorry, I'm sitting here saying, where's lunch?
Right there.
So yeah, the meeting on October 22nd, Mike will let us know what time we're gonna start.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody's good with it, because we are trying to do a lunch also, we would just have a regular meeting start at 10:30. If everybody's good with it, and then the treasurer's report would be exactly the same as what we're doing now in the financial. Maybe, yeah.
Next quarterly meeting will be October 22nd, 2025, starting at 10:30 with no finance meeting preceding. At this point, I will open up the floor for public comment. Hope we have anybody.
No questions.
No question.
No questions here. We have nobody in the audience left. All right.
Gary and Kevin, that's what's that out. Obviously, the university makes, that's all I wanted to hear. When are we open?
Close public comment, and you'll take a motion to move into executive session.
I would move, we move into executive session per 1 MRS 40568, conduct the executive director's annual performance review.
So we will go into executive session, and when we come out of executive session, we will are likely to take a vote based on the discussion of that session. All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.
All right, we are back out of executive session. And if anybody stayed online, thank you for your patience, appreciate it. We did conduct an annual review of the executive director, Michael Carroll performance, and discussed compensation. Do I need to have somebody move this, or can I lay this out and have somebody so? Okay. So the board has decided to grant Michael a $15,000 salary increase and to move his automobile allowance from $1,200 a month to $1,750 per month. Thank Michael for his service to the board and for all the member communities.
I would move those two changes to Mike's compensation package.
Any comments or discussion?
I'd just like to comment that Mike's annual review was exemplary, and that we really appreciate all the work and effort that he has done to move Municipal WasteHub forward.
Thank you.
And I would like to second that and just even point out that Mike is so good that he actually went above the scale that we had for him in several categories. So that just tells you how much we think of him and the service that he brings and his expertise and the respect that he's bringing to the organization and that he's garnering statewide and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
The dedication is much appreciated, Mike. Our concern, as we said before, is that sometimes you're not taking enough time off and you're focusing too much on the work, but we trust in you that you can balance that, that work-life commitment and work-life, personal life commitment and continue to serve the board. So thank you. Motion second on the table. Any other discussion? All in favor? That is unanimous. Excellent. And wanted to talk briefly about our board member guidelines regarding attendance. And I think at this point, I'd just soon turn this over to our counsel, John, to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Just it's a good reminder, but also to raise something specific for consideration. So the bylaws, Municipal WasteHub do require regular attendance for scheduled board meetings. Under the bylaws, any member that has missed 50% of those scheduled meetings in the calendar year or has missed 3 consecutive scheduled meetings is subject to a vote of the board for that member being eligible to vote for that. Not often we raise this, but we do have a specific member that has met that criteria that's listed. So just bringing that to the board's attention, the board should wish to, it could take action now. But that is one of the considerations that's on the bylaws that the board could make the firm vote since you have a member now that's met criteria for potential rule or its discretionary firm vote.
Would we have to officially amend the agenda in order to take up this item?
If you wish to do that, I suppose you could. I don't think that would
create a technical issue, but if you want to, it's something we talked about. To me, it refers to back to the regular meeting that's upcoming. It's known that this member, Mr. Willis, is those meetings, you would prefer, of course, you could end the agenda to add it to it, and then take action on it.
I just want to make sure that we're all covered. I would like to make a motion that, we terminate Mr. Lewis's position on the board. And if that can be covered underneath, item number 11 on the agenda, I am satisfied by that.
I'll second that motion.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion from board members?
I would like to request that, if it's an affirmative vote, that, our council or Mike sends a letter to let him know.
I'd like to say that there's a lot of important work. We're really, and I should say that there's never a time when there hasn't been important work going on, but this board provides a lot of direction to the executive director, and to miss 3 meetings is one thing, but I think this has gone well beyond that as well. So I'm fully in support.
And I do think it is important to note that we have tried to reach out, have not heard any communication from him.
All right. We have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor? That is unanimous. Trust that you, Mike, or it's okay. Thank you.
We will take care of it and, we will notify the board.
Mike will take care of it. He'll notify the board when it's been handled. All right, I see no further items on the agenda. I'll take a move to adjourn. Thank you. Have a great day, and if anybody's online, I appreciate you attending. We're gonna let all your staff know.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks for all you're doing.
Thank you, Smiley.
Crazy.
Thank you.
Let's the, info stuff, so pretty well.
Yeah, waiting for a final.